Hey, wonderful people. We appreciate all our followers on the Tea with Pius and Solo. And we are so excited to welcome you to season 2. And today we are talking about the principles of money. We are talking about something that really matters to many of you in your heart. So brace yourself for an exciting series and questions. I know they'll be coming, raining on us, but we are here for it and we are excited. Welcome to the tea. I remember Dr. Chris Kirubi, what he was saying. In fact, this is a story that I started hearing away from him. Someone was saying when Dr. Chris Kirubi entered International House, he was a tenant. And in fact, a couple of times, people, the landlord would chase them to pay. And there's something he told his PA. He said, one day we'll own this. One day we'll do what? We'll own this building. And when the opportunity came, he was able to mobilize that kind of money through friends and his own money. And when they bought that particular building, he said there was no opportunity that was coming into this market, into this city, that people are not trying to pass through it. Now, do you see how money attracts money? When you solve a problem, people think about you first when they have a problem with money. So they bring you opportunities. So this guy with $2 million is being brought the best opportunities in the market. So that's another thing that you need to think about. When you become good at what you do, your name grows. And when your name grows, the Bible says that a good name is better than silver and gold. So build a good name. Build a good name and money will chase you. This guy, I chase him, I want to give him money. You know, there are many people who are chasing Solo to give him money. And I'm sure he can give you a few more stories around that. Solo.
Yeah, well, it's true. The harshest lesson for me is that it's easier to raise $5 million than it is to raise 5 million shillings. That was a hard lesson for me to accept because I had been chasing the 5 million, 10 million. Because I figured, let me not ask guys for too much. 5 million, it's easy to risk, right? It's not painful. If things go south with this project, okay, they can survive a 5 million shilling loss. That's how you rationalize. But it's the complete opposite. And it's very counterintuitive, which again is why my friend was able to secure $2 million from my other friend in seconds almost, compared to the 4 years I had been working at building up to that amount. There's lots of lessons there, and it has to do with scale. It has to do with largeness of vision. Like, you can't be thinking like chickens. You need to, and let me just add, when Pius talks about investing in yourself, some of that is non-monetary. The money can help you invest in yourself, going for courses, buying books. Sometimes it's paying for access to the right spaces and people. Vusi Tembekwaya, this South African speaker, I don't know if you guys know Vusi. Of course, everyone knows Vusi.
Is a Solo equivalent.
Amen to that prayer. Amen. You have to dub me on that one. Yeah, let it be so. Vusi, I should say I had the privilege of meeting Vusi in this room as well. I should raise an altar in this room somewhere. just to thank God for all the people I've met in this room. But Vuzi talked about Rolls-Royce as a brand and how you never see Rolls-Royce advertised. Yeah, why? Because they know who their customer is. So what they do instead is they will take their vehicles and create a temporary showroom at the private jet events. Because they know the guy who's spending $20 million on a jet, $300,000 for a Rolls Royce, that's lunch money, right? So sometimes, and the memberships and the fees to participate in these events are insane. They're obnoxious. But what they understand is they're paying for access to an environment. And that sometimes is how you invest in yourself. I have done that a number of times. To this day, I pay for memberships to certain clubs, not to boast that I'm a member of that club. In fact, a lot of people would not know I'm a member of that club unless we meet there. But what I'm paying for is access to a space or an environment where I meet people who challenge me, my thoughts, my ideas, who feed into my inspiration. Hopefully, I can also add value to them. Okay, that's part of it. And your thinking is a direct result of that sort of interaction. Who are you hanging around with? We talked about this when we're giving our thoughts on relationship building. Don't hang around with chickens. And sometimes the chickens are your mom, your dad, your wife, your best friend. I mean, you have to be brutally honest about it. Okay, and I'm not telling you guys that you go and call them chickens. That's before I get misquoted. What I'm saying is identify their thought patterns, their way of thinking, their aspirations, and purposefully surround yourself with the egos, I would call them. The guys who are always thinking big. Have a big vision inside you, because that's what really people invest in. That's what investment capital chases, is big vision. I once pitched a private equity guy for money. I was asking for $140,000 for a project. And amazing pitch. I killed it. I was even patting myself on the back, on the inside. I knew this guy. My English was right, my timing, the spaces between my words was right, my pitch deck was excellent, because I don't screw around with stuff like that. Excellence is important. And he acknowledges, like, Solomon, that's an excellent presentation. Thank you, I understand it. Here's the problem. It's too small. Too small for me. Do you have a way to scale this up to about $2 million? Please go back to your drawing board and get it up to $2 million, then I'm in. It's not worth my time to do DD and all the administrative work to give you $145,000. It's gonna cost me exactly the same as it will for the $2 million to move. So, grow up. In short, is what he said. And I left that room half depressed, half excited. Depressed because I was just called a chicken, basically. But inspired because he encouraged me to think bigger. And I did. I went back to the drawing board. I made the plan bigger. It took me a bit of time. I made it a $2 million project. Unfortunately, this particular investor wasn't able to engage me at that time, but someone else did, just as quickly. And this is what I mean when I say, when you invest in yourself, be very deliberate about building a vision, a picture of abundance and largeness, and go beyond yourself. Because again, going back to the beginning, your gifts, your skills, your abilities are not for you. So stop thinking about, how do I pay rent next month? Think about, how do I serve half the people in this room? What's their common problem that I can give them a solution to? in the process of doing that, you will be paid. And now you're thinking about, okay, I have enough rent money for the next 5 years from what I've been paid. Can I put a down payment for an apartment with the money I've received? Or can I grow my business? Or can I invest in someone else's business? Does that make sense? So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's really what it boils down to. Your vision, serving others, paying yourself first, and investing. And those are the main principles. If you can't invest if you don't have capital, you can't build up capital if you're not saving, paying yourself first. You can't pay yourself first if you don't have income. You can't have income if you're not solving other people's problems. That's basically it.
Yeah, and I think that point on the largeness of your dream, it deserves to be emphasized. I think one of our challenges as a continent is that we tend to think too small. We have a tendency to, I don't know whether we're intimidated by opportunities or something, but it's so important that your idea is scalable. You know, your value add is scalable. I remember when we were starting Nabo Capital, 2013. We were coming from a place where we were only investing our own money. And that was, let me start this from 2008. 2008, the entire Centum balance sheet was 6 billion shillings. And I know that sounds like a lot of money to you guys, but in the financial industry that we're in, that is too small, you know. And we sat in a room, and that James Murray had just been appointed as CEO, the youngest CEO in among the listed companies. And we sat in a room and we did strategy. We looked at opportunities. We had just come from post-election violence. We had just discovered even this country that we love called Kenya can actually go up in smoke. We were concerned that if such a thing happened, then all our money would be here, and you know, would lose so much money that belongs to our shareholders. So we expanded our dream. We started thinking beyond Kenya, and we were asking ourselves, how far should we stretch our dream? China was the fastest growing continent in the world, and had been doing that for a couple of years. But we thought, China, there are people who are better than us, you know. And then the second fastest growing continent was actually Africa. And we thought, you know what? Africa is really our home. This is a place we were born. This is the place we are growing up. This is the place. There's no other place we can go. But yet people come to Africa, make a lot of money, and leave Africa with a lot of money. And he said, this is the place where we can actually call our home. This is the place will become our scope. So we expanded our investment horizon to Africa. So I remember that 6 billion shillings was split almost into two. 2.3 billion was given to me to do public markets. Public markets is anything to do with stock exchange, government, anything that is publicly advertised. And the balance, majority of it was for private equity, anything that, you know, the Coca-Cola, anything that is not available to everybody. So, and I remember, you know, starting to put together that strategy and saying, how big can we be? And we went to the board and we said, in the next 5 years, by 2014, March 2014, we'll have moved from a 6 billion company to a 30 billion company, because of the opportunity we see. And of course it sounded crazy. You know, you are standing in front of the honorable people like Dr. Chris Kirubi, the late, and other amazing, experienced, seasoned old men and businessmen and women. And they entertained us and they said, no, the mix of the board and the mix of the experience and wisdom at the board and the mix of the youthfulness of our team, let's dare it, And not to give you too many stories, we started investing across the continent, and we were replicating what we were doing in Kenya, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Tanzania, in many other countries. By 2014 March, we were 29 billion.
Wow.
And that was just our own in-house money. So we started getting now people coming in, knocking on our doors and saying, guys, can we give you our money? You manage for us and do to our money what you've done to your own money. And that's how Nabu Capital was backed. Because Centum couldn't do it with the way in its current structure. So we needed a company that was regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. We needed a team that is separate from Centum. We needed a board that is independent. We needed our own systems. We needed our own things. So, I remember James Moria called me to his office and he said, Pius, this company, in fact, he said, Pius, opportunities don't come dressed in convenience. And I think you are the one who's supposed to lead this company. I thought, what have I done wrong that I deserve to be, But I took it and I said, let's do this. And I started asking myself, why do we need one more fund manager in this country? We had 27 fund managers at that point in time. And it really bothered me for 2 months until it finally clicked in my head that we only have about 60 securities which are listed in the stock exchange. We have about 130 government securities at any point in time. And when you look at the amount of money that is looking to invest in this country and in public market, it was only increasing. Foreign investors have only grown over time investing in this country. Our pension money then was 427 billion. Now we are almost 2 trillion shillings. So the wall of money looking for opportunities here was only increasing. We can bring our Africa experience to Africa. Now, instead of 60 securities in Kenya, we have 900 securities in the continent. Imagine how we expand the opportunity for investors. So that really was a justification of forming NABO, to bring opportunities beyond the borders of Kenya. And we started the business. We were given 18 million shillings to do the regulatory stuff and to buy a few equipments here and there. And I remember that year, my biggest opportunity was in Tanzania. This company that had not been, the share price had remained flat for a long time, but the company had really been growing for a long period of time. And I said, I've never seen an opportunity that is as obvious as this one. I remember I even went to my shareholder and I said, I have an opportunity that I'm willing to put my career at risk. He said, explain to me. And I said, this is the opportunity. If today we sold all our private equity investments and we bought this particular company, our share of profits would go up immediately by 2.2 times, would more than double. Like, wow. So I was asked, how much money do you need? I said, I need $20 million. Now I'm speaking like so low in dollars. I said, wow, that's a lot of money, but the opportunity is amazing. Say, it was in the evening, say, let's do it. We went home. I was so excited. I came back the following day in the morning, and my boss called me in the office saying, by the way, I was thinking about $20 million in Tanzania. Hey, you know, Tanzania we can. What if we lock our 2 billion shillings in Tanzania? Say, you know what you do? I'll give you 800 million. You go and find other investors to co-invest with you. So I started speaking to investors in London, some of my friends there. I said, guys, this is the opportunity. They loved it. We started putting certain documentation together. And when the documentation was about to be finished, the group called fit. Now I had to look for other investors. And I remember this time round, I was in Nigeria. I was visiting Nigerian breweries. I was in this room where you have to put on your safety gear. As I was putting on my safety gear, this guy literally staggered into the room. He was drunk, you know. He staggered into the room and he stood right in front of me, and I looked at his head from behind and said, I think I know this guy. So I said, Patrick. He turned and said, hey, Pius, how are you doing? And we started catching up. And he asked me, what are you doing now? And I told him, I have this amazing opportunity in Tanzania. And he asked me, tell me more about it. I told him about it, and he said, wow, I'd love to explore this opportunity. To cut a long story short, he moved his company to co-invest with us $150 million. There was nothing that was going on in Tanzania that I was not being told. The regulator in Tanzania used to call me, Pius, is this your deal? I said, that's my deal. He said, I approve. We were buying that stock at 2,000 Tanzania shillings, one share. And my horizon was, we were going to make money in 7 years.
Hold up. How much?
2,000 Tanzania shillings per share.
2,000. That's how much?
You can do your conversion. But anyway, the thing is this. In 2 years, we moved from 2,000 Tanzania shillings to 19,000 Tanzania shillings. When we went there, I started selling. And my 800 million that I had gotten from my shareholder, I brought back 3.3 billion shillings. And that just tells you, if I invested just 10 million, I would just have reaped as much as 10 million. But we put 800 million. I was even like, if only we had put the $20 million, you know, it was like we had come from capital raising, you know. So what I'm trying to say here, when God gives you an amazing idea and you make yourself an expert in it, don't do small things. Do big things. Solve big problems. And you will never look for money. Money will always look for you.
Thank you so much for watching and tuning in and being part of this conversation. You have been watching The Tea with Pius and Solo. See you next time.